Hey guys, and welcome to my Elemental Eula showcase video. Before she came out, I wanted to know if she was able to be an Elemental DPS user. So I thought, what if I just use her the same way I use Chongyun? I like to buff up Chongyun's burst cryo damage using Bennett and Sucrose, so I'm gonna do just that. I'm also gonna use some of Chongyun's cryo artifacts, and make a 2-piece Gladiator and 2-piece Blizzard set. With this set, I have pretty low crit rate, so I'm gonna change my weapon to a crit rate weapon. And since I'm using a Serpent Spine, I'm gonna want to have a shield. So my team's gonna have 3 major characters that help buff up Eula's cryo damage. And this is because I'm gonna try to have a burst one-shot build, one that can take out many enemies during exploration. So as usual, check out the showcase and I'll explain my team later. Enjoy!
Swear we never say goodbye. Fall asleep to lullabies with something that I thought I'd never find. And what is right and what is wrong, and all I ever saw is love. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head, it's telling me to stay the night again and hold on to the words we always said would be.
Alright, so my burst combo goes like this. I use Zhongli, Bennett, and Sucrose to buff up my Eula's cryo elemental skill as much as possible. Zhongli is here for a few reasons. My Eula's using a Serpent Spine, and has damage buffing stacks. I lose these stacks whenever I take damage, so I use Zhongli's shield to make sure I don't lose the stacks. In addition to this, his shield also decreases elemental resistance of enemies. I initiate by using the press version of Eula's elemental skill. While the enemy is affected by cryo, I use Sucrose to swirl with her elemental skill. This applies her passive buffs. I use Bennett's ultimate followed up by his elemental skill. I use the elemental skill to generate some particles. I then go for the kill. Since Eula's press elemental skill is only a 4-second cooldown, you can use her skill again after using all the buffs and debuffs. I use the hold version for a stronger hit. With a high energy recharge Bennett, his ultimate should be ready again for the next time you want to use it. That's why I use his elemental skill before swapping to get some particles. I can then repeat my combo. An elemental based Eula should be able to take out anything you want, whether it be an open world or abyss. She won't hit as high as a physical build with her Lightfall sword, but her elemental skill is much more spammable. You also don't have to worry about energy issues. Another thing not to worry about is having to charge up the Lightfall sword after casting her ultimate. It got pretty annoying and it made me not want to use her ultimate ever. I prefer the more quick burst style gameplay. And this gameplay is kind of like the inverse of my Juggernaut Bennett build, since I'm applying Pyro and then using her elemental skill in between. So my current Eula stats have 1800 attack, with 61% crit rate and 246% crit damage. Energy recharge is not an issue here. And of course we always go for an elemental damage cup. I'm using Serpent Spine because it's a great weapon and I need the crit rate. But of course if you have a lot of crit rate you can use whatever you want. Just try to adjust your build so you have a decent amount of crit rate and crit damage. Almost any kind of Claymore works because you don't need any specific one to make this combo work. I'm using a 2-piece Gladiator and 2-piece Blizzard, since noblesse doesn't matter for me, and I just picked out the best ones I had for each. If you saw my other Eula video, you already saw that I got Constellation 6. But for a Cryo Eula, many of her constellations don't matter. Her first constellation increases physical damage, so that doesn't apply for us. And her second constellation decreases the cooldown of her hold ability. But it shouldn't matter because when you use it, the enemies should already be dead. And we're not worried about keeping any pale flame stacks up or anything like that. The fourth constellation buffs up the Lightfall Sword, which doesn't matter for us also. And neither does constellation number 6. They're all pretty much related to her physical damage or her physical burst. My talent level for her elemental skill is at 7, but with the constellation it makes it 10. And just keep in mind that holding her elemental skill does more damage than pressing, while the press version has a lower cooldown. The stats of my Zhongli, Bennett, and Sucrose have already been shown in all my other videos, so I recommend you to check out the other Eula video to see Zhongli and Bennett's artifacts. Also, you don't need to use Zhongli, as I did. I only used them because I didn't want to lose stacks from my Serpent Spine. You can use a Pyro character if you want to have Pyro Resonance with Bennett. For my Sucrose, my build has not changed ever since I made that 900 Elemental Mastery video a few months back. She's also really great at grouping up enemies, and she's also capable of killing all the smaller mobs without needing to use Eula. Alright, so this is a pretty quick video because there's not much to show, since this is a pretty straightforward combo to use, and there's a lot of team comp variations to use, so you can adjust to what you want. But that's all for the showcase, and see you in the next video.